Hello everybody and welcome to IFT401 and 402. If you're watching this video, it's because you're curious as to what IFT401 is and what IFT402 is. Hello, my name is Damien Doheny and at the moment I'm the primary faculty member on the 401 and 402 courses, which essentially is your senior capstone project. I've been on the Senior Capstone project for the last 3 years. I've had multiple partners. I started off with Professor Yaganathan, and now I'm working with Professor Rodriguez, and I'm also working with Professor Walsh on the online side. So at the moment I seem to be the common factor. So the purpose of this video for the next maybe 20 minutes to a half an hour is to give you an outline of what is involved in your Senior Capstone project. Over the last 3 years, many students have come to me saying, look, by the time we get to the 401, 402, you know, we're in the class, it would have been nice to know ahead of time what was involved so we could start making preparations. So that's the purpose of this video. So as you're watching this, you may be a freshman, you may be a sophomore or a junior. That's the kind of goal, to get this video to you as early as we can so you can start planning ahead for your Senior Capstone project. And believe me, you can actually start planning now, whether you're a freshman, like I said, a sophomore or a junior. So we're just going to spend, like I said, the next maybe 15, maybe to 20 minutes to half an hour, whatever, going through some stuff that you can start planning for your capstone project. Okay, so what is it? Like I said, 401 and 402 is your senior capstone project. It's where you come up with a concept, an original concept, the requirements and the design. Now that's effectively 401. So in 401 you come up with the concept, the requirements and the design. And then in 402 is basically where you develop your idea. So if you think of it like building a house, okay? So I basically I have a flat piece of land that I've just bought. So I'm going to come up with a concept for that house. Then I'm going to come up with the requirements for that house. Then I'm basically going to come up with a design for that house. And that's 401. And then 402 starts, then you actually start building the house. And during 402, you're going to have certain builds. And those builds are going to be, you know, increases or improvements or additions to that house. So you'll start off with the frame, you'll put the roof in, and you'll put the walls in. That's build one. Build two is you'll put the windows and doors in. So you get where I'm going with this. So that's basically how 401 and 402 work together. So the question is, you kind of have two options when to take these classes. So option A is when you basically take 401 in the fall, and then you take 402 in the following spring. So like you see from the slide here, that gives an extra couple of months in between the winter break. And during those 2 months, you're going to have to work on your prototype. So for example, you will finish up 401, let's say November 30th. So from December 1st till the last week of January, you're basically going to build a prototype. That's where your building starts. So at the end of January, we're going to say to you, show us the first part of your house. That's what you're going to do. Then in 402, at the end of February, you show us the next version of the house. March, the next version, and April, you show us the final version of the house. So that's kind of how that works. That's option A. And the reason why we have two options now is we didn't always offer 401 in the spring. And we didn't always offer 401 in the fall. So now we kind of offer 401 in both fall and spring. Before, we only offered 401 in the fall. There was no 401 in the spring. So that's why it's changed. That's why you now have two options. The second option is that in spring you do 401 and you do 402 in the fall. Now, clearly you can see there's an added advantage with that, if you want to call it that way, that now you basically have nearly 4 months to work on your prototype. Now, those 4 months or 2 months for option A is not just to work on the prototype. You may take that time to actually learn other stuff that you will need for your capstone project. Because while, yes, you're going to learn a lot of classes, a lot of stuff over your first 3 years of this course, we kind of want you guys to go outside the box a little for your project. And we'll get to that in a few minutes, what our expectations are. But those 4 months or 2 months can be used a lot for learning. You might learn other technologies that you want to add to your project. Okay, so there are the two options when to take it. There's no real difference. to be honest. Now, I know some people might sit there and say, well, do you know what? I want to use my winter break to relax and rest, and same for the summer. You can do that, but it's not going to help you in 402, to be honest. You know, this is there. 402 is there, whether you do it in option A or option B. And our expectations, let me rephrase that, my expectations every year is increasing to what we expect as the final product. Why? The classes are getting so much better. They really are. If you look at the major map, all those classes are now available most semesters. We've got great faculty on board. Okay? Everything is there now for you guys to create great products. We've got more mentors on board. So that's why expectations are going a little higher in my eyes. So while you might say, I want to rest over the winter, I'm sorry, this is 1 year where really that's not an option for you guys. Okay, so like I said, whether it's option A or option B, you have to work on your project during those 2 or 4 months. So the question is expectations. And I came up with this kind of metaphor, if you want to call it that way, a few months ago, and it seems to be working with students. We want you to get to the moon, but we want you to aim for Mars. Let me put this simply. If you get to the moon, you'll get a C grade. If you get to Mars, that's an A grade. Somewhere in between, that's a B. Simple. If you stay on Earth, that's a D. I don't know, I can't really go for nothing really else, so you don't want to fail. You're not going to fail. But that's the kind of analogy I want to give you. So we now have students walking around on the on-site campus in the IT and online saying, how do I get to Mars? That's what we're looking for. How do you get to Mars? Now there's different ways of your project in getting you to Mars. There's what type of project you're doing, the complexity of your project, the creativity. There's many different ways that you can get to Mars, but that's what we're looking for. So if you want to parallel it, for example, most of you guys will end up doing the IFT401 class and the IFT401 Minutiae. Now that's a simple database class and a web-based class. And Anusha's class, Professor Yagadaitan's class, you'll get those 2 things to link up. You'll get the front end linked to the back end. That's a simple website. That wouldn't even get you to the moon. That's not even a C project. So I'm just trying to give you parallels of what we're looking for here. We are looking, if you want an A in your capstone project, you got to really be creative, be inventive, and go outside your comfort zone. So that's what I want to hear. That's what I want you guys to really get from this presentation. We're not looking for you to get to the moon. We want you to get to Mars with the idea. Okay? The next thing is, and this is key, and I kind of briefly mentioned this a few seconds ago, this is how you will get to Mars. You got to go outside your comfort zone. You have to. You know, and what we mean is, I'm not asking you to do projects in IT areas that you don't want to be in. I'm not. You know, if you want to be in networking or security or database or whatever, I'm not saying go outside them. But I'm saying that if you want to really get the A, if you want to get to Mars, you got to be so creative and so adventurous and so challenging of where you want to be. We want you to sit there and say, here's my idea, but I have no idea how I'm actually going to build it. That's what we want. So again, to get to Mars, you're looking here outside your comfort zone. Okay? The next thing is, we do allow, it's either groups of 2 or solo projects. Now, while I'm talking here, this applies both to online and on-site. I just want to make that clear in case people are wondering. Everything I'm saying applies to whether you're an on-site student or an online student. Okay? We've tried to make these 2 capstone projects for online and on-site as close as we can. There's one small difference in 401 and there's one small difference in 402, which I'll get to later on, but they're very similar. It's either groups of 2 or solo projects. The reason for this is simple. We originally had it where students could work in groups of 3 or 4. But then we found out that students weren't doing technical stuff. This forces students on a group to do technical stuff. This is an IT degree. We mean by technical stuff, either setting up servers, setting up honeypots, writing code. We want you actually doing stuff. There's very little paperwork involved in the senior capstone project. We do not use the waterfall method where you've got a document after each step. No, we've not used that. We're using Agile. And Agile says limited paperwork. So someone on the group cannot just spend the 401 or 402 just doing paperwork. Now there is some paperwork done in 401, as you can imagine, because that's like the concept, the requirements and design. But 402 is all build, 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 build. Okay, so groups of 2 are solo projects. The next thing is start thinking about a possible partner. So, and that starts now. So like I said to you, you could be watching this video and you could be a freshman and you're saying, how could I think of a possible partner now? Of course you can. You're in a class full of other students, whether it's online, because if you're online, you can see what they're writing in their discussion posts. You can see all this. Are they writing good stuff in the hallway conversations? You're looking for a partner, and that could be 2 or 3 years down the line. I kind of put here, don't work with a friend, and I do mean that. If there's going to come a time when you're doing your project where you mightn't be working well together, you know, he might be pulling his weight or whatever, vice versa. That's when you need to kind of have that conversation to say, look, man, I can't do this on my own. Especially if you're going to Mars. If you're going to the moon, yeah, you probably can, but we're not going to the moon. So, and having a friend, no, you want a partner. You want to get what they have, the knowledge, the techniques, the areas that you're not great on. So let's say if you were doing a web-based project with a back end and you're not great on database, but you love the front end and all this type of stuff, then you're looking for a partner who's great in the back end stuff. So, you know, I'm not going to say, you just want to get their skills, their strengths that will basically blend with your strengths to, in a sense, create that perfect project. That's what you're looking for. So, like I said, start thinking about a partner now. So everything that you see the students doing, think about, would he be a good fit for me? Like, think about it. If you want to go to Mars and he wants to go to the moon, he's not a good partner. You need someone who's going to basically do it when it matters. Be there till 3 o'clock in the morning, staying up, doing late nights, getting that to work. That's what you want. Okay? The next thing to think about is, this is not a research project. You know, you can't just go off and research all the cybersecurity methods, all the encryption techniques and say, hey, I found one, this is the best one, whoopee. Nah, you're not going to write a 20-page paper and give it 50 references and say this. That's not happening. Okay, this is a technical project and there is a development part to this, IFT401. Okay, this is also not about completing a task, in particular a work task. And this applies more to online students. A lot of you online students, which is a good thing, will do a project probably for the company that you work for, okay? And that's fine, but it's not about just going in and writing a few scripts to fix something, no. What we mean by a project really is, there needs to be that process, and that's a key word I want to use, the process. There has to be a process of getting it done. Identifying the problem, identifying what your kind of idea is, identifying the requirements, doing the design, that's the process. One of my colleagues, actually, Dr. Walsh, keeps using the idea of Thanksgiving dinner. And she's right. You know, like that's the product. So you've got the product and you've got the process. We want both. What is your product going to be? Thanksgiving dinner. And how are you going to get there? You know, what is your concept for it? What is your requirements, the design, and then the final product, which is the dinner. So we want both. Okay? The next thing is, these are the possible areas that you can do your project in. Okay, now needless to say, they stem from the core areas of the IT program. So you've got your web-based, you've got your networking, your security. On the job, and I do have in brackets there, and this is something we added in within the last few weeks. The project must be outside your current job duties. This project is not your job. I want to make that quite clear. This project is not your job. Okay, this project has to be outside your job duties. So it can be for the company you're working for, but in a sense it needs to be stuff that you're not getting paid for. So you're getting paid, say like 9 to 5, this needs to be stuff you do outside it. If it's not, then we're not going to consider it, because we don't think it's fair in students who are doing their project outside work hours, you know, at home, whatever, and you're doing it as part of your job. And we really want to stress that. So if you're doing it, whether you're on site or online, for your company, no problem at all, but it cannot be what your job is. Okay? And I say IT related, what I mean by IT related is there might be some things that are not covered in the IT program. For example, at the moment, virtualization is kind of not really done an awful lot in detail. It's not really, okay? It's like a small part in some classes. So let's say you want to say, well, I'm good at virtualization, I want to go into that. You can do that. So if it's IT related, we're good to go. And the last thing, not the last thing, but the last primary thing you can do it on is the phone app. Now this has really evolved over the last few years in terms of it's getting a lot easier to develop a phone app. It really is, okay? We don't teach phone app development in the IT program. At the moment, engineering do that, but we're trying to get around that. We're trying to add our own class in. It's early days, but we're optimistic that we can do something. I know Professor Yaganathan is going to try and add a couple of weeks of it into her 301 class, okay? It's getting really, I'm not going to say easy, but it's getting a lot easier. I'm going to use the word easy to actually develop a phone app. There's loads more environments out there. It's just getting, and also cross-platform is the way to go. Like years ago, you kind of say to someone, are you going to go iOS or are you going to go Android? You're kind of like one or the other. Now it's kind of like you're going to do both. It's cross-platform. And that's how a lot of these kind of frameworks are working, where you can actually do it for cross-platform. So, because now we're having a lot of students, but online and on-site, who are basically going to go off and do the app development. And like I said to you, if you do 401 this spring, you've got those 4 months in the summer to really kind of get, stuck into learning it. And another thing is, most students nowadays have access to the students ahead of them. So I've got 402 students who are doing app development. I'll get them in touch with the 401 students so they can give them advice. So we have that rolling kind of evolve, where students from 402 can help those in 401. Remember, this program is only about what, 4.5 years old now, 5 years old? So it's still relatively new, but remember the good thing, which I know you all know, this is now ABET accredited, which is a big key thing. That was, Dr. Helm got that achieved last year, really, really big thing. So whether you're online or on site, the IT program is now ABET accredited, okay? Just wanted to remind you. So they're the possible areas to do your capstone project in, okay? And just to break it down, this is one of the areas, so if you're doing a web-based project, these are some of the possible tools that you can use. So if you pick a database. So remember I was saying to you get to Mars? So when you do your classes, when you do the classes in the program, there's like 2 database classes. There's the 200 and the 433 with it, that you can do. They're 2 database classes. One core, one's a focus area class. And they cover SQL. Let's say for your capstone project, to increase the level of difficulty, do a non-SQL database. Do something like MongoDB. That's becoming really, really popular, especially in the app development side. Do MongoDB. On the client side, do one of the frameworks, AngularJS or something like this. And on the server side, do something like maybe there's loads of these frameworks, Laravel, Ruby on Rails. So there are ways that you can add to the complexity of your project. Okay, so let's just jump to the next one. So just before I talk, I'm going to have a quick drink. I'm a Pellegrino fan if anyone's interested. Excuse me. So, and that won't be edited, that's going to be in this. So, I want you to start thinking about your projects now. So like I said at the very start of this video will hopefully be seen by students as freshmen, sophomores, juniors, whoever. We want you to watch this as soon as you can, okay? Start thinking about the projects now. So you might have an idea that you think, this could be a good capstone project, write it down. Okay, come and talk to one of the faculty, come and talk to myself, whether it's online or on site, come and talk to me. We'll chat about it. Doesn't matter that's 2 years ahead, it doesn't matter that might be 3 years ahead, it doesn't matter. Because if you can start thinking about it now, when you come into 401 with an idea and possibly a project partner, it's going to really help you down the line. This kind of leads into this. Do not assume your idea is good. And one of the students said this to me yesterday. And I had it, but I didn't want to put it in, but he said you should put it in. Do not assume your idea is good. Because what happens is this. You come into 401, you have an idea. Okay? And like I said, there's 3 phases in 401. Concept, requirement, and the design. You can't get to the requirements unless we say to you your concept is good enough. And what we mean by that is your idea, your concept, worthy enough to be a capstone project for ASU? There has to be enough difficulty, there has to be enough, you get the general idea. So if you come to us and you say, I've got this great idea, I've had it for the last 3 years, it's the best thing since sliced bread. within 3 minutes, we could turn around and say, no, that's not going to work. So don't be afraid to come up with multiple ideas. That's a key thing, all right? Next thing is, every class matters. It's true. Every class that you take, whether you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, every class matters. Because something in that class may impact your choice of project. If it doesn't impact your choice of project, it will certainly impact an area of that project. For example, IFT401 is the basic database class. 90% of projects that are done in the IT program have a database backend, I'm telling you. Whether it's web-based, app-based, everyone has some sort of backend database. You need somewhere to store the data. So that class matters. And by doing the 200 class, you might say, you know what, I really love this database thing. I love organizing all this database. And remember, you do take the 200 class, then you might take the 433 class. And then you all know we have got these big data classes as well. You know, Professor Rucker does all these big data classes. Okay? So every class you take matters. Every class, ask yourself, could there be something in this that actually might influence my capstone project? It's true. Okay? Next thing is, start planning ahead with your courses. Seriously. Now I know if you're a freshman or if you're a sophomore, your choices are limited because you have to do certain core classes. Absolutely, I get that. But down the line, when you get into your second year, start looking at the major map, and that's actually my next slide, major map. Okay, start looking at it. Start seeing what classes do I want to do. You know, while looking at the major map, you've got the networking area, security, two big areas. Now they kind of go hand in hand. So if you want to be a security specialist, you kind of need to do networking as well. They kind of go hand in hand. You've got the database angle, okay? Now the other angle which we don't cover, like I said, is the app development. Well, I said Professor Jagannathan is going to try and do a bit of that in the 301 class. So look at the major map, look at the classes. There's 3 networking classes, there's 5 security classes, there's 3 Linux classes, there's 2 big data classes, there's 2 basic core programming classes which you all take anyway. Let me just think. So there's lots of classes that cover all these different areas. And remember, you only have to do 8 for your, remember 8 in total, 4 for your primary focus area and 4 for your secondary focus area. And do remember, you can also do internships as well. 1 internship covers 1 secondary focus area. You can do 4 internships if you want. So look ahead at the major map. The major map now is solid, absolutely solid. It really is. All the classes are offered nearly most semesters. It's really good. Okay? And I don't think there's going to be many more classes added, if any, in the short term for the undergraduate program. So look ahead. And you know what? If you don't know what a class is, ask us. I primarily teach the networking class at the moment. I have for the last 3 years. I teach the 3 networking classes, IFT259, IFT358, and IFT489. And I also do the senior capstone project. Okay? So ask me. Don't wait till your final year. Ask me. So start, like I said in this, start planning ahead. What courses should you take? Okay, it's critical. And do remember, if you plan on doing a security project, take security classes. If you want to be in security for your field, for your job, then I would expect you to be doing a security-based project. You know, it's hard for me to talk to students and say, I want to be in security when I finish. I want to, save every company. I don't want any hackers to get in. What's your capstone project? I want to do web-based. I'm nothing against web-based. It just doesn't make sense to me. So if you're going to try and do a project in the area that you want to work in, great, then pick the classes. I am not saying pick classes solely based on a capstone project. I'm not. Pick them based on your career. But the capstone project is there. It's waiting for you. Don't ignore it. I'm going to say embrace it. What can I do to prepare for it? Okay. So the next thing is, don't waste your summers. It's one of my biggest regrets. I'm not going to tell you my age, but I'm still young. I'm in my 30s, just. I look back, I regret I wasted my summers. I do. I wish I did more productive stuff in them. I had a great job. I was a receptionist in a hospice for 10 years. But in the summer it was great. I had no college. I sat in the chair. The phone barely rang. And I read novels. You know, I read all of James Patterson's, Michael Connelly's, you name them. I loved crime books. When I look back, I wish instead of a crime book, I maybe looked at some technologies instead. I have to be honest, I do. Don't waste your summers. You know, pick a technology. You know, like I said, if you're doing a SQL base, if you're doing SQL, just go off and try and maybe learn a non-SQL database. You know, get stuck into learning mobile app development. You know, as an IT guy, you really need to know a lot of everything. So that's what I'm going to say, don't waste your summers. In particular, when you get to your sophomore and junior years, don't waste them. Plan for them. And I'm not saying do stuff every day, I'm not. But just say, you know what, I'm going to watch a few videos, I'm going to learn this, just learn as much as you can. Okay? Next thing is, these are some other skills that you will need. Now, they are focused on a little bit more, some more than others. Presentation skills, absolutely. Whether you're doing it online or on site, I suppose more so on site, I'll give you that, right? Because in the 401, we do expect students to stand in front of a class every couple of weeks and give us an update on the project to the whole class. So you need to be able to present. Online, it's kind of done similar. You know, you'll have to kind of do videos and you'll have a live Skype session. That is a presentation. And I want to say, when you're presenting, you're selling. It's like me, I'm trying to sell you 401 and 402. Every time I do a presentation in networking, I'm selling the content. You're selling your project idea. So every time you talk about your idea, sell it. Want people to want more, want people to ask you questions, want people to leave there going, man, I can't wait to see the finished product. Okay. Now, presentation skills, to be honest, disappointingly for me at the moment, they're not put a massive priority in most programs in ASU, they're not. For me, most classes that I did in college, presentation skills were really in most of them. And I loved it. I was the guy that the students said, I want him on my team. Hence why I love teaching. I love presenting. Okay. Project management skills. You do some project management courses through in the IT program. Now at the moment they're run by TMZ 330, I think TMZ 470. Okay, we are in the process, hopefully fingers crossed, of creating our own project management course specifically for IT people. There is a bit of a difference, but they're good classes. What we mean by project management skills, do you remember the process that I talked about earlier on? Remember I talked about the product and the process? That's what the process is. What's the process? How do you manage to start off with basically a blank bit of land to your full 24-bedroom house with room for a rocking chair and a pony and a swimming pool? How do you get to that? How do you get from that flat piece of land to that house? So it's project management skills, critical. Okay, and like I said to you, we kind of adopt the Agile method. Now, Agile doesn't work for every project, we get it, but and the idea of Agile is it's more flexible to change. Okay, because you know your requirements change, you want the most important things in your product. So that's what it is. And the last thing is technical writing skills. Again, there's some classes that do work on this, some English classes and stuff. We're not looking for Shakespeare. We're not looking for you to write, you know, it's not a research paper. We're not, but, and even because there's milestone 1, 2, and 3 in 401, but there needs to be a flow, you know, and what we do is we will give you some guidelines. See, what happened was last year myself and Professor Rodriguez, and even before that Professor Jagannathan and myself, we just assumed students could do these 3 things when they walk into 401. We assumed it. This is what I learned in my undergraduate program when I was in college, not too long ago. So this is what we did. So we kind of were surprised that they weren't as good as we thought. And they're not. And I said it's primarily because at the moment, they're not totally focused on fantastically in the IT program. So we do try and give the students some heads up on what respect, and we try and help them with this. But so like I'm saying, this is one area for you guys to look at maybe improving over the summer. You know, how do you do presentation skills? It's simple selling. Go in, get a job in Best Buy, sell the products. That's presenting skills. Okay. The next thing is mentors. So needless to say, I teach this class. I'm not going to teach is probably the wrong word for this class. We kind of are mentors. I'm a project mentor. Now, like I said, at the moment, I'm working with this class with Professor Rodriguez on the on-site and Professor Walsh on the online. So we're project mentors. We're not technical mentors. We're never going to tell you how to write your database. We're never going to tell you what structure to use for your tables. We're not going to tell you how to write your code. We're not there for that. We're not going to write your code and then grade, because we're graders. We grade your projects. Now, ultimately, Dr. Helm has the final say, which, to be fair, he's just there in case, like, we're on an 89, he's just there for these kind of situations where students might say, you know what, I think I get an A, I got an 88%. He's just there for that. So we do the grading. So we are project mentors. We're the ones that will basically encourage you. And yes, if we think we're falling behind or you're not basically up to where we think you'll be, we'll give you that gentle nudge in the right direction. Okay. Technical mentors can be anyone. They can be fellow faculty members here, and we've got a lot of good faculty now. Or they can be your friends, people you work with, it doesn't matter. So that's the two mentors that you have, your project mentors and your technical mentors. Okay? Again, so start thinking of them at time. Even though you're a freshman, think about who could possibly help you with your project. They may also impact what type of project you're going to use. You're going to do a web-based, you're going to do a networking-based, security-based, take your pick. Okay? So just have a quick, to finish off, I just want to look at the core requirements for 401. You can see here, so these are documents, and you got your milestone 1, milestone 2, and milestone 3. And I've pretty much addressed these. So when you finish 401, you know what you're going to build. Simple as that. You have the requirement, you have your concept, and you have the design. And at the end of each one, whether it's online or on site, you do a final presentation. If it's online, we try and do a live Skype session. That's the plan. We try and do a live Skype session, and it's on site. Needless to say, you're in the class as well. Okay. The other small difference with 401 is with 401, you do 4 presentations to the class. With the online students, there's a few discussions. Similar kind of thing. That's the major difference with the 401 online and on site. 402, no difference. Well, the only difference is how you present it. Like we said, with the online, you basically do videos. You'll send us 3 videos for January, February, and March. April, you do a live Skype session. With the on-site students, we schedule you once a month. You come into a room, it's a conference room, and you just present to myself and whoever my partner is at that time. So that's the big difference there. Okay, so the final thing I want to look at is, and it kind of follows on from this 402, and it's a key point, and I want to make sure I got it in, is this. Regardless what project you do, you must be able to show us your final deliverable. You have to be able to do that. It's been an issue in the past, and some students, it's not their fault. It's the companies that they're doing the project for change the goalposts. They suddenly say, no, we don't want instructors to see this. It's to this, it's to this. Whatever project you do, you must be able to show us the final deliverable. You have to. Otherwise, we can't grade anything. Okay, so when you're picking your 401 project, if you're doing it for a company, which is fine, as long as it's not your job, then you have to be able to show us it. So, like I said, if you do 402 in the spring, you're going to have 3 builds. You're going to have the prototype in January, February, March, and April. So you're going to have 4 builds. In each of those builds, we need to see progress on your build. So you need to show us what you're doing in 402. And like I said, sometimes for on-site, that's easier. But if you're on-site and you've got a video recorder, that's what you're recording, whether it's by phone or whatever, you need to be creative and show us what you're doing. So I just want to finish off, if I can, by showing you a couple of examples of the poster. Now, I briefly mentioned this back at the deliverables for 402. When you finish your 402, there's a poster. We call it the showcase poster. And I'm just going to go straight into one to show you. This is a showcase poster. So whether you're online or an on-site student, you basically have to create this poster. What it is at the end of 402, whether you're on-site or online, you're going to have an event. Now, for on-site students, that event happens at the end, either in April or November. You get this poster printed from the ASU printing department. It's a big poster. And they print it, you go over to a hall for a few hours, I think it's like from 3 to 6 on a certain day. You put this thing on an easel and you'll basically show people your project. So you might have some phones, if you've got your product on an iPhone or an app, whatever, or a web-based system, you'll basically try and demonstrate your project as best you can. And this capstone, this poster is in the background. And as you can see, and this is just an online one, this poster basically is an outline, a summary of your entire project. Your mentors, your process, the abstract, what your project is, future development, it gives this. So again, whether you're online or on site, you're going to have a showcase poster. Now the online students, you're going to upload this poster to the Nerd Herd site. Now the Nerd Herd, I should say, is the IT student group or student society. And there's a link. You're going to be required to upload your poster and give it your name and a few bits of details, your picture. And that means other faculty, other students can go in and look at your poster. And you can see everybody else's. And the goal is after a few years, these are all going to be uploaded. When you're a bit more older, you can go back in and reminisce and look back at your poster. That will still be there and look at everybody else's. So that's for online. And I said on site, you basically go to that showcase event. It's in a hall for 2 or 3 hours and every faculty and all come over and meet you and talk about your project. And as you can see from the poster, it's kind of structured. You know, there's certain things that have to be there, but the color, design, the layout is really up to you. Usually the center part, in this case the coffee cup, and in this case the Social Sec logo, they're kind of created, they should be created by you. You know, the whole copyright thing. So if you get anything created, you need to basically go off and get it done yourselves, okay? But that's like that draws you in. The ASU engineering logo, that's fixed. Now that can be at the bottom, the top, but there's certain things will give you guidelines on this. So that's the final deliverable. And as you can see, these posters give a total summary of the product. Okay, so that's kind of all I have to say on this. I hope this introduction to 401 or 402 at Capstone has helped. You know, all I'm going to say, look, reach out. You cannot reach out early enough with this. You can't. Even if you have an idea now, and if you're a freshman, don't just tuck it away. Like I said, don't assume your idea is good. Talk to me. As I said to you, I'm Damien Doheny. I'm the IT lecturer in the IT department. I've been here, like I said, 3 years. As you can tell, I'm Irish. Look me up in the directory, get me email address, reach out to me. Okay? So I just want you guys, whether you're freshmen, sophomores, juniors, to look at this. Again, this isn't here to scare you, but it's to prepare you. And the more prepared you are coming into 401 and 402, the better your Capstone experience will be. So, like I said, I hope this is a help. Please reach out to me if you have any questions at all on the Capstone project. Otherwise, take care and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.